Brrr. It's that season again where the snow starts falling out of the sky. And we wanted to film a Kinstretch class specifically to help you go enjoy it a little bit more. This class comes together as sort of inspired by some requests from a few of you who are getting excited to get out on the slopes and want to make sure your ankles, knees, hips, and everything is ready for that input, ready for that adventure. So we're going to be working today from the floor, also from a chair, like a dining room chair that we'll pull in a little bit. And other than that, you won't need much in terms of propping. So go ahead and figure out what chair you're going to use, get it close, and then we'll dive right into the warm-up. All right, so to begin, one of the main focal points here today is going to be your knees and specifically how they work through rotation. So you can lean back against something or just sit on the floor and start with your right leg bent, dig your heel into the ground and place your hands so that your fingers are touching your hamstrings, the back of your thighs. Okay, and then you should feel that area really come alive as you make your heel heavier and heavier into the floor. And then begin rotating your shin out to the side, which should feel like the outer hamstrings get a little bit more active, the inner ones relax, and then go into internal rotation and feel the opposite happen. So you start to sense that these hamstrings are like little reins that attach to your tibia and create that independent motion while your thigh is able to stay still. Keep working on this. And I love this setup for specificity in a snow sport like a snowboarding or a skiing because as we sometimes cue, you want to imagine you're in a heavy boot here. So your ankle and your shin are working together and the motion is really only happening at your knee joint. All right, so warm this up for another 10 seconds, finding how much rotation is available for you. Good. Getting any cracks or pops that might be there for the taking. And then relax. Good. Okay, let's try the other side. And as always, we'll be working a bit on that rotation today. So note anything that comes to mind or is very standing out to you. And let's see if it changes through the class. So dig your heel in, hands on hamstrings, and then begin exploring that tibial rotation in both directions. Keeping an eye on your foot and ankle, making sure that that foot isn't moving after the tibia stops. Yep. Good. Maybe noticing any rotational angles where you're not able to keep your heel as heavy. That's a really good spot to slow down through and make sure you still feel your hamstrings engage there. Good. And then you can also see Marley's using her hands to just emphasize or encourage a little bit more rotation. And I think that's really helpful. Give yourself that tactile cue right where you know you need it. Good. And let that go. Cool. All right, let's leave the knees for now. Come on to hands and knees, and we'll work on flexion extension control of your spine. Cool. So from here, you want to get set up in a position for your arms that feels very strong and is not distracting. So if your wrists are a big bother, you might prop your forearms up on a short stool or ottoman, and then brace your hands and feet through the floor. Create that tension, and let's move from the top of your spine down. So pull your chin into your neck, then chin down to chest. Then keeping those legs engaged, begin to round through the upper portions of your spine. Really trying to spend at least a second on each vertebrae, each joint of that spine, which in total should take you about 30 seconds to get all the way down the spine. Sometimes that can be a bit of a news flash if you've been rushing through your cars a little bit. Okay, once you're all the way rounded over, sense into as much stretch as you can from the base of your neck to the base of your tailbone. And then keep your tailbone curled and begin reaching your chin away from your neck. Good. Feeling the very top of your spine begin to extend and shorten. And then the base of your neck, your upper back as you reach your collarbones through and stretch your sternum. And then finally asking your tail feathers to lift and join this extension. Again, take a moment to pause here and sense into any extra stretch you can find along the front line of your body. Double down on your hands and your feet, getting heavy, and then start again. One more rep, chin to neck, to move your spine into flexion, one vertebrae at a time. Good. Feeling into anything that might have shifted after just that first rep. Anything that's more clear. Any areas that you're able to move into or sense into better. Gotta go slow so you can appreciate those changes if and when they come up. Once your tail's curled under, actively keep it curled and start reaching your chin away from your neck. And here's another spot where your body will tend to shift weight forward. So keep those feet engaged for these last 15 seconds. Moving down the very bottom portion of your spine. Feeling that strong effort to shorten the back of your body. And relax. Awesome. Okay. So hopefully that leaves you with a little bit more heat in your body from those muscles turning on. Now we'll come into a side lying position. If you want to throw a pillow or a block under your head, you could, or just an arm. What do you want? You want a block?
I'll use my arm.
Okay, so go ahead, lay down on your side. Find that comfortable side lying position and make sure you have some room behind you so that your leg is free to extend. And then brace your upper body. And there's just so many variable options for this, but I like to start by using that top hand to just get heavy into the ground. And not just pressure, but also some body weight, like you're almost rolling that hand into the floor. And then keep that heaviness. Start driving your top leg behind you like you're trying to cut the grass right off the floor or even touching the floor if that's possible. When you can't get any further back, continue your motion by sending your shin up to the ceiling. Shend the shin. Good. Keep that height as your knee comes forward. Your back stays flat and strong. And then sweep that knee around and across, touching knees together. And then we'll reverse course, go the other direction. Really searching for the sensation of what muscle pulls your leg into each of these angles. So it's really not about the motion, although the movement helps us get access to all of these tissues. What we're really after and what we're really about here is to actually feel sensation of contraction, feel sensation of stretch, and help your brain map out what is available at this hip. Keep going back and forth at your pace, 40 more seconds. Never giving up on that heavy hand on the ground. Even as you breathe. Good. Really tuning in. Nice. Last 15 seconds. Make that hand 10% heavier. Make sure you're still breathing. Might be a shallow breath that's available, but if you can still breathe, it means your nervous system is still feeling safe. And that's so key. Good. And relax. Nice. Okay. You can just go ahead and roll over. I'm going to have Marley flip onto her other side here. And then find that comfy pillow under your head. Reach that arm out in front of you. Just a quick note here, and this might be happening for you. When you move into flexion with the knee, you don't want your arm to be in the way. So you want to just select a position for that hand that clears your amount of hip flexion, okay? But we're going to actually start this rep moving the leg behind you. Again, trying to cut the grass with your shin. Trying to reach it as close to the floor as you can, then as far behind as you can. Then hover that shin up towards the ceiling while your body stays still and strong. Sweep that knee towards your armpit, across the midline of your body, and brush knee to knee. Take a quick freeze here and feel your inner thighs engage as your knees press together. And then As you come up into flexion, can you send that knee towards the floor? And then towards your chest. You got this. And then towards your armpit. Good. Pressing those knees wide apart as you start to sweep that leg behind you. Very good. Putting real significant effort into the hand braced on the ground and the torso staying still and strong. Keep going at your own pace. Tick-tock back and forth. Good stuff. The better you get at these hip CARs, the more you'll notice and the more you might be aware of your spine moving, or you might be aware of a position that your leg moves quickly through. So I always tell people, when you're first getting better at CARs, your CAR will probably get smaller, and that means you're on the right track. All right? So just take care as we warm up here to not beat yourself up. Just get into that work, get into the process of controlling your hip, and relax. Awesome. All right, so now we're going to move up to our first setup from seated. So go ahead and grab your chair, whatever you're using. Ideally, it'll be a chair with some legs that kind of vertical legs that allow you to block your heel against. We're going to get set up and meet you there. All right, welcome back here. So whatever chair you found to work with, you're going to want to set it up on a surface, and I could have told you this earlier, sorry about that, but you're going to set up on a surface that allows your feet to slide. So a wood floor or even a rug with socks on would be fine. Another tool that sometimes people will use is just a paper plate on the ground with your foot pinning it to the floor, and that'll slide real nice as well. But whatever you've got, you want to set up so that your right foot is on that smooth surface. You're set right on the front edge of the chair, and then you're going to place both hands on your right thigh and step your left leg off to the side so you have some room here. Okay? What we're going to be working on first, and we'll just try this easy and then build intensity, is that when you slide your foot out to the side, your body accomplishes that by rotation through the hip, and then also a little dropping of that leg bone, a little extension of the hip. So if you gently drive that leg down, you might be able to eke out a little bit more rotation on the hip and a little bit more slide out to the side. Okay? And then gently slide that foot back in towards the midline and start going the other way. Okay? As you slide across, what we want to avoid is that thigh bone crossing across your midline, and instead use rotation of your hip to get that foot as far over to the side as you can. And then a little extra press down with your thigh might let you drop your leg down and slide over further, but at some point you will hit your limit. Okay, now keeping one or both hands on that thigh nice and strong, we're going to continue sliding back and forth at about this exact same pace. The only change is that you're going to be resisting yourself a little bit more. As the leg slides out, that resistance helps you get as deep into range as possible. And then as you start coming back, that resistance from your hands provides a little resistance for your hip tissue to push through as it slides back to center and then across into external rotation of your hip. Okay? Keep going here. If this is the first time watching this class, totally fine to just get a sensation of control, start to get a feel for that pressure with your hands. On rewatches of the class, though, I really encourage you to find how much pressure you can give with your arms that's just less than your leg is able to handle. So we want to still be able to move the leg. We don't want to block it and not move it, but we do want to find that strong effort from the arms that the leg rotators have to work against. And you might also feel this in your knee. This is a big time knee drill because your knee is connecting your hip to the floor. Okay, work on this 15 more seconds, finding that resistance against your hands as you come out of rotation each time. Very nice. And relax. Great stuff. Okay, let that leg set off to the side. Again, sitting on the very front edge of the seat will really help, especially when we go into external rotation, so that you feel like your thigh can drop. If you're sitting way back, your thigh bone will just run into the surface of the chair. So scooch to the front edge of the chair, hands on the thigh, gentle at first, just start sliding that leg out to the side. Gently pressing with your hand to feel how much rotation is available here. Good. And then gentle pressure on the thigh as you bring that leg back so you can feel those deep rotators in the hip turning on to create that counter move, that counter rotation. Good. Yeah, and you might find, oh, I can unlock a little bit more slide to the side, a little bit more twist, a little more drop of the thigh as you get a feel for it. Good. And just to be clear, as Marley keeps moving, we're not letting the thigh move side to side at all, just up and down and rotation. Okay. That'll help you put the input right where we want it, which is deep in those hip rotators. Good. Last 20 seconds. Giving your body plenty of repetitions to get a sense of what we're asking for here. And come back to center. All right, shake that out. So now, as we go back to the first side, we're going to basically get to end range and then work on the shortening tissue to get your foot actually off the ground. So as you're doing this motion, your thigh bone's moving up and down, right? In a moment, when we rotate into that end range position, you're just gonna lift your thigh and your ankle together. When you do, those deep rotators in your hip are gonna have to hold the rotation that you've found, all right? So we'll do a few reps to get a feel for it on both sides. So start with a little pressure in the thigh with the hands, slide your foot out to the side for internal rotation of your right hip. Good. When you've found your end range, keep your leg where it is and just place your hands on the chair or on the arms of the chair to brace your body. And then slowly start asking that ankle to get lighter and lighter, just through rotation first. Good. And then keep that rotation and ask the knee and the ankle to come up, seeing how much rotation you can hold on to when the foot actually comes off the ground. Yeah, it might drop. That's okay. Keep going. Keep going. Boom. Right there. 5, 4. It's spicy meatball. 3, 2. Parachute landing back to the ground. Good. Now, when you do that, sometimes you can go, oh, you know what? Now I've unlocked more range, and push your foot out to the side more. Good. Find that end range position. Find that twist that would give you more. Then hands braced. Lift the whole leg unit off the ground, holding onto as much twist as you can. 5, 4, 3, 2, slow motion meltdown. Again, very common to lose some of your rotation as you lift up. That's okay. Let's do our final rep here. Sliding that foot out, maxing out rotation, checking maybe on your pelvis. How's that feel? Once you feel set, hands on. Start rotating first, almost thinking ankle light, knee down. Then, once you feel that turn on, ask the whole leg to come up and hold on to as much rotation as you can. Half inch of lift is perfect. 5, 4, 3, continuing to feel that twist, and 1, melt it down. Great. Let's give that leg a little break. Get internal rotation on the other leg. I was just thinking, Marley and I used to be friends. I hope we're still friends after this, but we'll see, because this is a very spicy contraction. Slide that foot out to the side. Now working the left leg into internal rotation. Good. And then once you think you've found your end range, brace your body. Ask for more twist to find that active regressive effort. And then lift the whole leg away from the ground, holding on to as much twist as you can. Yes, this is good. 4, 3, 2, 1, and melt it down. Okay, again, hands can bias you into a little deeper position. So this is passive end range. When we lift off, that's active end range. So that little gap between the two, that's really what we're going after with this work. So brace, ask for rotation, ankle light, knee heavy. And then once you feel that turn on, lift the whole leg away from the floor. Yes, great stuff. Hold it. 5, 4, 3, little shake and bake. And relax. Good. Okay. Final rep for this direction of rotation. Really sensing into what is passively available here. Might have opened up a little bit. And then once you've found it, brace your body. Ask for active rotation to get your ankle light, knee heavy. And then bring that whole rotated leg up away from the ground and hold it. 5, 4, rotating more. 3, 2, 1, and melt it down. Awesome job. Okay, go back to your right leg and let's get some external rotation in here. Yeah, just sitting in a chair Kinstretch, but actually super hard. So bring that right leg in front of you, left leg off to the side. Use your hands, and external rotation is a little weirder for this setup. So take an extra moment here to push the thigh down, sense into how much you can actually reach that leg across before the knee starts to come across your midline. Okay. Now, in this angle of rotation, you might be able to lift your leg a bit higher. So this time, I want you to, when we lift off, I want you to lift off as high as you can while keeping this amount of rotation. Okay. So brace your body. Ask for the ankle to get light, knee to push down towards the floor. Once you feel that turn on, lift the whole leg and lift it as high as you can without anything else in your body moving. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax down. Very nice, okay? On this second rep, because you're in mid-range here, we just saw end range, we're in mid-range, we might be able to get more twist. Yeah, so bias that thigh. Yup. Find that deep sense of what's limiting me from twisting my thigh more. Once you think you've found it, brace. Ask for that active twist that would make your ankle light, knee down. And then bring the whole leg and hold on to that same amount of twist, only going as high as you can keep it. There you go. Very nice. 5, 4, 3. Heavy hands will help. 2, 1. And relax it down. Awesome. Looked a little cleaner on even just the second rep. Nice job. Final one. Bias as much twist as you can. Maybe pushing the knee down closer to the ground. Good. Okay, once you think you're ready, anchor yourself. Really strong upper body. Find that active twist before the foot comes off the ground. And then bring that twisted hip up towards the sky. Feeling inner thigh come towards the belly so that you're not leaning back by accident. 5, 4, 3, 2, parachute down to the floor. Yes. Great work. And then let's do the left leg into external rotation. Okay. Always appreciating that one side might be different than the other, so we gotta enter into this exercise with fresh eyes and see how much can we externally rotate this left hip. Good. What does it feel like to get to end range if we're really biasing it and pushing that thigh down? Good. And then once you think you're there, anchor. Actively try to make your foot light before you lift it. And then bring the whole rotated leg up as high as you can without your upper body or pelvis moving at all. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and melt it down. Good. Very nice. Now, whatever your amount of rotation that you're finding, you just want to try to add or ask for more the whole time you're holding it. All right? Dropping that knee. Good. Find your end range. Turn on active end rotation, so ankle gets light, knee pushes down, and then bring the whole leg up with that rotation. Good. Really sensing into the motion happening at your hip joint and not anywhere in your back. 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome job. Great. And this last hold, I want you to do it exactly the same, but just work 10% harder through your upper body. All right, see if that helps you. Rotate it, find that active effort, then bring the rotated leg up off the floor with 10% more effort going on in your upper body. I want you to knee to break in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Parachute that leg down to the ground. Yes. Okay? So just a quick note, if you're sitting here and you're getting an extremely limited amount of rotation, so let me just demonstrate for a second. Let's say your foot goes to there and stops. That's a heads up. You really want to work on internal rotation, especially if you're going to get out on the slopes this season. Also, if you get to about here and that's as much as you can lift off, you're going to want to work on hip external rotation. So we can continuously be assessing what's going on and where your needs are, in this case, just from seated. All right. We're going to let the hip training go, and we're going to change our setup a little bit to get a specific dining room chair just for the knee work, and then we'll see you there. To now work on tibial rotational isometrics using the leg of a chair. So this is a little bit of a weird one, but it's much easier on your upper body than some of the other setups we have. So the way we'll set up into this, first for the right leg, for external rotation, you're going to hook your kind of the ball of your foot or the big toe around the leg of the chair, and then you're going to block your heel with your other foot. So you want to make sure that other foot is behind your heel here, on the ground. There we go. Yep. Cool. And just move around on the chair anywhere that you might need to get comfortable. And once you get close to this, I bet you'll be able to go by feel. And the reason for that is because pretty quickly your knee starts to get a bit of this gapping sensation or this little kind of a weird stretch type sensation. So you can just work your way into that. You saw that Marley moved her hips around, moved her heel around, found a position that felt comfortable for the rest of the body while still gapping open that knee. Okay? Now from here, take a breath, make sure your body feels safe here. And then once you're ready, the motion won't really be a motion, it'll be just a contraction that we're cueing of trying to bring your right heel back into your left foot or left leg. And then as you do that, make your right toe area heavy into the leg of the chair. So we're really training or asking for rotation of that shin, just like we were working in the warm-up, but nothing is able to move because it's all blocked here. Smoothly ramp this up, slowly and steadily, up to 30%, 50%, and then continue building to a truly safe feeling amount of contraction. So it should be more than 50%, but it has to feel safe for you. And then just hold for 10 seconds here. I almost said hold for 50 seconds. That would be so cruel. 3, 2, 1, and relax. As you relax, you might find you can get more, but no need to really push it, because now we just want to work on the rails contraction. So brace your body. Start thinking of making your heel light away from your leg and your toes light away from the chair. Nothing is likely to move, and that's all right. We're after that. But what you might feel is some contraction in your hamstring that's a bit different than what you were just training. Hold that. 5, 4, 3, 2, and slowly melt it away. Good. Okay. Go ahead and let that side go, and we're going to work on externally rotating the other knee. So
Get into this.
yeah, exactly. It takes a little doing, but you want to get the ball of your foot around the back of the front leg of the chair, and then set your other foot up behind your heel. And that's really the 2 points that are important. Whatever shape that right foot has to take, or whatever you have to do with the rest of your body, What we're after is ball of foot and heel getting blocked. Okay? Good. Then once you're there and you've settled into a little gapping or stretching sensation specifically for the medial side or inner side of the knee, you're going to begin your pales contraction very lightly at first. Start bringing your big toe area into the chair leg and the heel area back into your right shin. And try to connect that with that rotational effort or rotational articulation we were doing at the beginning of the class. Ramping this pales up through 30%, through 50%. The muscles in our legs are big and strong, so we really got to engage some real intensity. And then anything that feels safe above 50%, hold on to that for a nice sustained effort. 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax it, letting it go. Good. And now let's explore the rails contraction. So start asking that shin to twist the opposite direction from what you were just trying for, which will feel like your heel trying to get light away from your shin and your toe trying to get light or move back away from that leg of the chair. And this might create a little cramp or deep contraction sensation on the outer side of your hamstrings. Hold this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Very nice. Okay, slowly come out of that position. Might feel a little wonky and weird on the knees. Let's go ahead and find rotation in the other direction. Okay, so for this one, you're now going to use the leg of the chair on your heel. Yep, there you go. And then you're going to step your other foot on your toes. Okay, and once you get close to this, usually you can just adjust your body to find any remaining twist. Okay, if you're really having a hard time, you could also set your heel free and just twist your knee, like maybe get a pop like me, but get that twist and then set your foot down and try to block it around what you know to be an internally rotated position. You feeling any good stretch here? A little harder to find, right? Very common. So once you think you're close, yeah, you can kind of wiggle your way closer by just setting the toes in more and then blocking it, sending your knee outward just a little bit, and that should help open up the stretch. Again, the stretching area is going to be the outside of your knee. Okay, once you're ready, take a breath, make sure you still feel grounded and safe, and begin asking your right heel to pull in towards the leg of the chair, into the leg of the chair. At the same time, you're asking your foot to rotate outward on the floor, but you're blocking it with your other leg. Ramp this up, smoothly hitting every percentage point up to 50%. And then anywhere beyond 50% that still feels safe for you, let's hold it there. Really sending a specific signal to this area of your body that you would like it to be stronger. 3, 2, 1, and slowly melt that effort. All right, now let's switch over to the rails contraction. This will happen keeping your setup by asking your right heel to work away from the chair leg, trying to feel further shortening of that inside of your knee joint, and maybe even into your medial hamstring. This is really a searching for sensation type contractions. Often very difficult to find a rails contraction at first. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Good. Okay, and now gingerly come out of that position. Let's find internal rotation setup for your other leg. So now your left heel will be blocked right up against the chair. Once you're set there, try to work your left forefoot and toes over towards the midline as much as you can. And that way, when you set your butt on the chair and reach that knee out to the side, Yeah, you'll be able to find that little bit of gapping or spacing on the outside of the knee. Just take a few breaths here to settle into it. Nice. Good. It's such a strange thing because it seems very alien to set up and to focus on, but the reality is our body utilizes this capacity of internal rotation during flexion all the time, especially during fast-moving sports. That's one of the ways that we're able to navigate the terrain is by having rotation built into the system. But it's just weird when we take it out of context and focus on it so specifically. All right, here we go. Start our pales contraction. Start asking that heel to push into the chair leg, pinning the foot so that it's not able to come unwound. And then really sensing into the contraction on the outside of the knee and even up into the outside of the hamstring. Finding it, holding it, something over 50% here. Growing your intensity. Keeping that strength effort consistent. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax it. Okay. And now we're going to try your rails contraction, which will be basically the contraction that takes your shin into more internal rotation. Another way to feel that is to try to make your heel move away from the leg of the chair and your toe move towards the chair, which would result from your shin rotating further. See if you can find that contraction in your inner part of your hamstring. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Relax. Good. Okay, now let's save and upload that work for your knees and kind of bring some motion and sustenance back to the knee. Just scooch to the front edge of your chair. And we're not going to work on a ton of pulling with the heel now. Now this is more about just controlling that newfound rotation. So you'll bend the knee, keep the knee bent a little bit more so that just your heel is right on the ground. Yep, your knee is bent to about 90 degrees. Toes come up and really feel like you've just put on a big ski boot or something so that the whole lower leg is going to move together. Hands on the thigh or maybe even gripping onto the hamstring, and then see how much can you actively twist into that position we just trained of external rotation, and then how smoothly can you come out of that end range and move over to the other end range. Good. Back and forth, trying to become, oh yeah, familiar with those rails contractions that we were looking for. Good. And feeling this contraction in other places, feeling this effort in your shins or maybe in your hip, all of that's fair game, but just keep in mind the focus is going to be in those hamstrings, pulling like reins on your tibia. Good. Last one into internal rotation to save and upload some knee upgrades and relax. Good. Okay, let's do the same dealio on the other leg. Okay, so keeping that heel still, keeping your thigh bone still, begin rotating your shin while the toes stay off the floor. Good. Nice. And you can see Marley's kind of letting her hands travel because you will be able to sense where you need information the best. So I might recommend fingers on the hamstrings, but you might go, I need to feel what's going on in my actual shin bone, or I need to feel what's happening at my hip. Let those fingers move so you can keep getting better information about your body. Good. Drawing that knee map. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great stuff. All right, relax it. Let that go. We're going to come up to standing and work a little bit on the spine. All right, so now working from standing, another piece that we wanted to incorporate here was spinal control when you're not in the most stable setup for your legs. All right, so to work on this, you'll either want to be hugging your own body really tight or hugging a nice firm pillow. So you could grab that if you'd like, and then come into a shoulder width stance with your feet, and then give yourself that big hug. So if you're using no pillow, you want to walk your fingertips as far around your body as you can. If you're using that pillow, make sure it's a strong squeeze. And then from here, we will do a spinal car in just a moment, but I want you to first feel a weight shift. So shift your weight over to your left foot while your right foot stays on the ground, and then over to your right foot. Okay? Now, the next time you shift over to your left side, really feel that that's going to be your center of mass. If you're a skier, you can imagine, okay, I'm skiing on one ski, even though my other foot's on the ground. And then keeping your hug, start to round your spine forward into flexion. Finding as much as you can. Start to twist to your right, keeping that weight centered on your left foot. Then keep your rotation as you extend your spine. Good. From extension now, start to twist to the left, going slowly enough that you can track that you're still weighted on the left foot. And then from end range, twist to the left, start to round forward into flexion. Good. And back to center. Good. Now from this forward flex position, shift your body weight over to the right side. Round your spine even more into flexion. And then let's go now to the left. Rotate your spine to the left, keeping your body weight on the right. And then extend your spine. From that extended position, twist to the right. Noticing how this feels different when you're anchoring on your right leg. From a rotated position, start to flex forward. And then come back to center. Very nice. Good. And come up, shake it out for just a moment. Okay. Now on this next rep, we're going to go the other direction with the spinal car. And I'm going to offer you to go into a kickstand. So it's basically just the same shift, but now that right foot is just barely on the ground to make sure you stay balanced. But this puts even more focus on that left leg staying stable. If you wanted to keep the right foot on the ground like we just did, that works totally fine too. All right, so give yourself that big hug. Shift your weight over to the left side, and then set the foot wherever you need that right foot. And let's begin rounding the spine forward into flexion. Searching out a stretch from the lower back, mid back, all the way up through the neck. And then twist now to the left. Going slow so you can stay balanced on your left foot. Start to extend. Good. From that end range extension plus rotation, begin to twist off to the right, taking care to keep your balance on your left foot, and then take that rotated spine forward into flexion. Come to the center, and come upright. Good. Good. Let's set up on the right leg now, so shift your weight over. If you want to kickstand your left leg behind you, you can. And now for this final rep of spinal car, I want you to just consider how could you get more engagement out of your muscles around your spine, okay? I'll let that just resonate for you however it does, and then round forward into flexion. How could you find more engagement? Twist to the right. Max out that twist and then begin to extend your spine. Really visiting every end range position as you move through extension to twist to the left, keeping your pelvis square and your weight on your right side. Begin rounding forward into flexion and coming back to center. Good, and relax, okay? So again, just giving your body more options, more variability, so that when you hit the slopes, your spine has a lot of ways to accomplish balance. All right, now to finish things up, we want to give those big movers in the skiing or snowboarding some time to train. So find a shoulder width stance again. And this time you're going to reach your fists out in front of you and lower down into a partial squat. So definitely not all the way down. Make sure your knees are bending, ankles bending, and hips, and you sense into your whole feet on the floor. Now from here, shift your weight over to the right side while your left foot stays on the ground, and then shift your weight over to the left side. Keep going at this same pace for 20 more seconds, going slow to really give the quads and the glutes on both sides some real fatigue and some intensity. Now, if you only feel your quads, I want you to just try to sense into your heels a little bit more and feel if you can connect with your glutes here for 10 more seconds, slowly scanning, finding that fatigue. 3, 2, 1, and stand all the way up. Very nice. Okay, shake it out and come down to the ground. So we're also going to give your wrists a little specific input, because how many times have we heard stories of people falling on their hands from skiing or snowboarding? So let's give some extra inputs there. For this, you'll just come into like a collapsed quadruped, so you don't have too much weight on your hands. And then keeping your fingers on the ground, start to lift the heels of your hands away from the ground and then back down. Okay, so that should feel like pretty simple and straightforward. The way we make it harder is by bringing more weight onto the hands, but it gets real spicy real fast. So actually start with your palms up off the ground and your fingers on the ground, and then bring your weight forward until it feels like a significant effort for your fingers. Good, and then you're going to stay parked here and move the palms down to touch the floor and right back up. Good. Trying to feel work happening in that underside of your forearm.
It's like calf raises for you.
It is just like calf raises for your wrists. Exactly. Good. And we're training those muscles, like the calf muscles of your forearms, but we're specifically also trying to hit the soft tissue through your wrist, which really takes a beating when we fall on icy slopes. Not that any of you are going to fall. No. Good. 10 more seconds here. Trying to really get those palms as high up from the ground as possible, and then slowly back down. Good. All right, let's let that ride for a second. Come back up to standing. And we're going to do that same squat again, but now with just a little focus for the ankles as well. So shoulder width. Sense into your feet, especially your heels, hands out in front of you. And then start to lower yourself part way down, taking care to keep weight through your heels so you're not just shifting forward. And then this time as you shift your weight to the right, feel that your right shin helps pull you over that way. And then sense into your left shin pulling you over to the left even while your heel stays anchored. And then back to the right, using your shin but keeping your heel sense. Back and forth. Good. You can imagine you're sliding down the slopes, or you can just think about your ankles, whatever you want. 10 more seconds. Keeping both feet flat, keeping those heels anchored, and relax. Good. Okay. Come up to center, and then come back down onto hands and knees. And this time, let's work on the wrist flexors on the other side of the joint. So start now with exactly palms up, okay? And again, we want to find a position that feels like work at the hardest spot. So start gently shifting your weight forward and find the spot where it feels impossible to do this with your wrist, to lift your wrist away from the ground, okay? Then that's your angle you're going to aim for, and shift your body weight back to bend your finger joints and actually lift your wrist off the ground. Okay, so we get as much lift as possible. Then we load it by keeping the wrist here, bringing the weight forward, and then slowing yourself down to get those wrists back to the floor. So it's really an eccentric only motion. And then you lean back to lift your wrists, load up the hands, slowly lower those wrists to the ground. Good. 3 more reps, really trying to draw out the lowering phase to feel work happening in the top side of your forearms. Good, yep. If it feels like you're only able to slow yourself down, that's actually a great eccentric contraction. If it feels easy, you might just shift a little more weight forward. All right, so lower those wrists to the ground for the final rep, and then come out of it, shake those wrists out, come up to standing for our final squat set. All right, so now from here, place your hands actually behind your head, which will change the balance point just a little bit. Lower down into that partial squat, really sensing into your heels while your whole foot's on the ground, and then shift weight to one side, trying to feel that your shins actively help pull you there. Shin on the left pulls you to the left, always sensing into your heels on the ground. That's really how our brains sense and connect with the floor, is through that heel. So anything we can do to try to help feel into that and stay on that connection will really help the leg engagement and the hip engagement. Good, 15 seconds. If this is feeling easier, you could try to drop down a little lower to finish up strong. If you feel like you're going to burn out, you could come up just a little bit for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Very nice. Come up to standing. Give yourself a pat on the back, and best of luck to you if you're getting out on the slopes this season. Love to hear how this class landed for you, and have a good one.